Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, and identities. Welcome back to another film review. Apologies for the delay of videos the other day. I was out in Camden having an absolute ballser. But I'm back now, so let's get right into this review. Lilo and Stitch is a story about an outcast girl who becomes best friends with an alien from outer space. So, what this review is going to be about isn't necessarily just the original. It's going to be talking about the original Lilo and Stitch film and comparing it with the new one. The themes are still there in the new one. And the themes of Elvis between the new one and the old one have stuck. The only thing that's quite a shame a little bit in the new one is we do lose a lot of those funny moments with Stitch dressing up as Elvis in Hawaii. But of course, this doesn't take it away from the film. But essentially, let's get into the plot of the film as a whole. Stitch is an alien experiment that was illegally constructed, and the Council of the Galactic Federation hunt down him and his creator, Jumba, who essentially created him as an indestructible machine of chaos. They tried to give Stitch a moment in the beginning of the film of leeway, as he was an experiment that was made out of not his own choice, so they try and give him the benefit of the doubt. But Stitch, being so violent and the way he is and a bit of a troublemaker, decides really just to chuck it back in the council's face. Then, being restrained and getting ready for his sentence, he breaks out of the facility and steals a ship and heads for Earth. When he crash lands on Earth, he gets hit by a truck, and so he ends up in a dog home. Meanwhile, a little girl named Lilo is trying to survive a life with her older sister Nani, who is essentially trying to stop the care system from taking her away. Nani is always trying to do her best after the accident with their parents many years ago in a car crash. Ever since then, Nani has had to learn how to become an adult, even though she is still pretty much a child herself, trying to achieve her own dreams. Nani is a top surfer and always wanted to strive to be the best, but every job she goes to, Lilo seems to find a way of causing havoc. Lilo is also constantly late to her hula lessons, one of the biggest traditions in Hawaiian culture. Throughout the course of the film, Lilo is trying to teach Stitch to be better, but when Stitch almost drowns Lilo, Nani and David decide to leave him in the sea. But then they save him, and throughout the course of the film, Jumba and Pleakley being an officer who is addicted with the planet Earth, both hunt down and try and essentially recapture Experiment 626, which is the allocated number to Stitch. The film is then resolved with Stitch pointing out that he's found his family on Earth. It may be broken, but it's still good, yeah. Still good. So what's the big major difference, then you may be asking, between the original and the new one? Well, the major difference is, in the original, Jumba is essentially a force for good after a while. In the new version, Jumba is the villain, which I can't lie, I frankly prefer. I get though that with the new Lilo and Stitch, for many long-time fans, the one thing that's always going to annoy them slightly is that Jumba no longer has his accent. However, the motivation for who Jumba is and how he handles situations is still quite frankly there. There is one big benefit, though, I do say, to this new adaptation of Lilo and Stitch, and the benefit is that it introduces it introduces a lot of the other experiments from the get-go, which is really good for not only long-time fans but future fans going forward, because then they don't have to necessarily go through watching the series of the Lilo and Stitch series to understand who half these experiments are. As Jumba points out literally in the new adaptation, one of them is way more powerful than Stitch, and all he has to do in this film is combine something and he can change Stitch. This doesn't only just make Jumba an absolute badass of a villain, but also it makes him a little bit more maniacal than he originally was. Now, there is one character I can't lie, did disappoint me that he didn't show up, and that is Sergeant Gantu. However, because of what I originally mentioned a second ago, I can understand why he wasn't in it, and that's the change in direction they've gone for with the new Lilo and Stitch. Also, them trying to animate a giant, I want to say hammerhead shark, is a bit of a tricky one. But who is Sergeant Gantu for anyone who doesn't know? Well, essentially, in the original story of Lilo and Stitch, Sergeant Gantu was the original one who was also hunting down Stitch. But his methods were a little bit more extreme than Pleakley and Jumba. So what do I rate the new Lilo and Stitch as a whole out of 10? The original Lilo and Stitch, to me, would always be a 10 out of 10. The new version, however, it's not bad. I'm looking forward to seeing what direction they take it in. But for now, I say it's about a 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next film review. Until then, goodbye and stay beautiful.